berjumpa lagi. I'm Raissa Chentami of the Indonesia channel in Jakarta, and this is your weekly look into the dynamic Southeast Asia region. Countries around the world are announcing their plans to emerge from the COVID-19 health emergency, and ASEAN members are among them. Here's a quick rundown of what ASEAN is doing to fight against the coronavirus. Here in Indonesia, 350,000 police will be assigned to guard public transport, shopping malls and tourism sites in 4 provinces and 25 cities. The government announced a 5-phase return to post-COVID-19 normalcy, starting with the full return of public transportation on June 1st and the opening up of all business activities by the end of July. 64 shopping malls are scheduled to reopen by June 8th. Singapore's government announced an additional $23.2 billion package to support its economy severely hit by the pandemic. This is the 4th stimulus package that the country has injected since the outbreak. Singapore has begun to reopen its economy in 3 phases. Most businesses are expected to reopen by July. In the Philippines, more than 2.5 million people lost their jobs during a 2-month coronavirus lockdown. President Rodrigo Duterte said he will not allow students to go back to school until a coronavirus vaccine is available. Malaysia allowed nearly all sectors to reopen from May 4th in a bid to revive its economy following a 2-month-long lockdown. But restrictions including air travel was extended until June 9th. Meanwhile, Thailand will extend its state of emergency until the end of June, despite the country's decline in the number of COVID-19 cases. Shopping malls and department stores reopened on May 17th, but cinemas, playgrounds, and some sports stadiums remain shut. The government also extended a ban on international passenger flights until the end of June. Schools remain closed and are scheduled to reopen in July. Vietnam was the first Southeast Asian country to lift lockdown on April 22nd. Its early response and strict quarantine policy made Vietnam a global example of COVID-19 containment with 237 confirmed cases and no deaths. Brunei reported a flattening of its COVID-19 curve at the end of May 26th, with the national tally of cases standing at 141. The country went 19 consecutive days without new cases from May 7th. Foreigners from Iran, Italy, Germany, Spain, France, and the US who are banned from entering Cambodia were allowed in from May 20th. The government also decided to reopen more than 30 museums across the country for national and international visitors starting in June. In Myanmar, stay-at-home restrictions in 4 townships in COVID-19 hotspot Yangon and 1 in Sagaing were lifted on May 15th, but 6 townships in Yangon will remain under semi-lockdown. And in Laos, the government lifted restrictions to enable people to travel freely around the country to minimize the impact on employment and the economy. Government offices and businesses also resumed operations as usual. Thailand, like many other countries, is trying to kickstart the economy and allow businesses to mitigate the impact of the pandemic. But the global supply chain remains a huge problem due to coronavirus restrictions, as ASEAN Today's Sari Latif reports.
Workers at this aluminium pressing plant in central Thailand are back and want to make up for the lost time caused by the COVID-19 outbreak. The plant's biggest clients are from the auto industry, including big brands such as Toyota and Honda. But since the health crisis started, orders have dropped off sharply. Factories shut down and the supply chain was broken.
The sales is decreased about 70 or 80%. It is impact a lot, like in auto industry. Like there are many parts that need to be supplied from many places around the world. Like if you miss only one small part, the car cannot be assembled.
Now the company has shifted its line of operations and it is trying to manufacture buses and boats for sale in the domestic market. But in these troubled economic times, buyers are hard to find. At this container port in Bangkok, little is moving in or out. Thailand, like many countries in Southeast Asia, has flourished as a major part of the global supply chain and built its modern economy on export and trade. Using the Praya River, a major river in the country, it ships commodities out into the Gulf of Thailand and across the world. But the coronavirus has broken those links. Honda's huge factory in Thailand is posting its lowest earnings for 4 years. Although manufacturing is starting to resume, problems in the supply chain have slowed production to a trickle. With huge question marks over global consumer spending, expectations for the immediate future looks bleak.
The company will ask whether do I reinvest in the original location or do I go back home where maybe the administration will give me some tax breaks or some subsidies, and that will reduce my cost.
Faced with these difficult decisions, many multinationals could well make the decision to move back home. Sari Latif for ASEAN Today.
More ASEAN Today is coming up shortly. Global leaders brace for life after the pandemic. That's next. You're watching ASEAN Today. I'm Raissa Chentami in Jakarta. Countries around the world are preparing to face a new normal after the COVID-19 crisis subsides. Regional leaders already have recovery plans in mind to reopen for business. They are in the hot seat.
Companies will have to change their business models to survive. Some jobs will simply disappear, and workers in these industries will have to reskill themselves to take up jobs in new sectors. But there will also be new opportunities and new jobs created. We will help companies adapt to this new operating environment and retrain workers for the new jobs available. We will not be able to save every job, but we will look after every worker. The road to recovery will be long and hard. We should be under no illusion that all will be well the moment the circuit breaker period ends or the number of infections comes down. But we are not a people who will shrink from struggle. It took us blood, sweat, and tears to get here.
Kita ingin TNI, Polri ada di setiap keramaian-keramaian untuk lebih mendisiplinkan masyarakat agar mengikuti protokol kesehatan yang telah kita sepakati lewat PSBB. Kita ingin tetap produktif, tapi aman COVID. Produktif dan aman COVID. Ini yang kita inginkan. Tetapi dalam menuju ke tatanan baru itu, kita juga melihat angka-angka, melihat fakta-fakta di lapangan.
Although most of our economic sectors have reopened today, those involving close human contacts and mass gatherings are still prohibited. This is the balancing act Malaysia is trying to achieve between kick-starting our economy and the importance of adhering to new SOPs to prevent another wave of infections amongst the population. However, the opening of our economic sectors must not be mistaken for a complete lifting of our MCO.
The Department of National Defense and the Department of Interior and Local Government, along with the Armed Forces of the Philippines and the Philippine National Police, are now ramping up the implementation of the National Action Plan, or NAP, as we speak to reinforce the efforts of the Department of Health in containing COVID-19.
Since the outbreak began last December, the United States has provided $57 million to help Southeast Asian countries fight the virus. More ASEAN Today is coming up shortly. Contributing to the fight against COVID-19, how these children in the Philippines are doing just that. This is ASEAN Today coming to you from Jakarta. 4 children from an ordinary family in the Philippines are doing their part in honoring those fighting the coronavirus. As ASEAN Today's Fauzul Azim reports, the children show their appreciation with a small budget and big hearts.
4 children from an ordinary family in the Philippines are providing free food to healthcare workers. Their grandmother was infected with the coronavirus and was cured and discharged from Metropolitan Medical Center after a month-long treatment. The children provide boxed meals as they pay their respects to medical professionals who are working tirelessly on the front line to combat the spread of COVID-19. The 13-year-old Simon Sai decided to draw pictures on the lids of the boxed meals as a creative way to express the family's gratitude.
I realized the hard work of the frontliners, how they helped my grandma recover, and I was what's the best way to give back to them? So I was why not draw the story before and then after she recovered. So it's my simple way of saying thank you to them.
The Sais decided to cook every day for the frontline health workers. Sophia, the eldest of the 4 children, cooks with Joff, while her brother Josh cuts and packs. Meanwhile, the youngest Simone gets up early in the morning and draws pictures on the lids.
We noticed the hard work of the frontliners and how hard they took care of our grandmothers. And we noticed that many other frontliners from all other hospitals are also doing the same thing. So we thought of cooking food because we also thought that the frontliners need more food.
And we also get inspired from their feedback because it makes us feel stronger, that it makes us feel safe that they're working behind the scenes just to keep us all safe.
The children prepare 100 to 300 boxed meals every day. Their mother Stella is very proud to see her children's dedication and act of generosity.
Some nurses told us that after their shift, they're very tired, and when they see the messages of Simone, when they see the drawings, it makes them feel better.
Schools in the Philippines will not open until September, so their mother encourages her children to continue with this project. She is also looking for ways to raise money to help more people.
I think we will keep doing this until our classes resume because we want to continue to help them and make them feel that they're loved and motivate them also to continue with their work and keep everyone safe.
Fauzul Azim for ASEAN Today.
Here are several events on the ASEAN calendar. Runners get ready for the Borneo Marathon on June 7th at the Likas Sports Complex in Sabah, Malaysia. The Dragon Boat Festival will take off on June 25th in Singapore, and US singer-songwriter Lauf will be live on stage at Istora Senayan in Jakarta on June 27th. As in the rest of the world, Thailand's tourism industry has taken a huge hit due to the COVID-19 outbreak. Steps to bring the tourists back are being taken during the lockdown pause, as ASEAN Today's Aisha Nadira reports.
Like the rest of the world, Thailand's tourism sector has suffered a huge impact following the COVID-19 outbreak, as most businesses have been halted. These lead to a significant drop in revenues, with household incomes fast depleting. Thailand, like many countries, is effectively closed, with no foreigners allowed to step foot here until the end of the month. 6 weeks ago, Suvarnabhumi Airport in Bangkok was one of the busiest airports in Southeast Asia. But now, aside from the staff, it is almost completely deserted. With all the restrictions in place, it's hard to imagine tourists ever coming back. However, the Thai tourism authorities are already preparing for the tourists to return. Tourism accounts for about 20% of Thailand's GDP, a vital revenue that the country can afford to lose. The Tourism Council of Thailand is keen to let potential visitors know that safety is their principal concern.
โฮมสเตย์ต่างๆจะต้องมีมาตรการอะไรบ้างรวมถึงร้านอาหารจะต้องมีมาตรการอะไรบ้างซึ่งตรงนี้ทั้งหมดเนี่ยเรามุ่งเน้นเพื่อสร้างความมั่นใจให้กับนักท่องเที่ยวในอนาคตที่จะกลับมา
The famous backpacker destination, Khao San Road, used to throng with budget travelers from across the globe. Now, they're gone. The street is getting a makeover, hoping that a new look will attract new visitors. But the businesses that thrived here for decades may not survive. Many have already shut down.
ยากอยู่นะว่าจะกลับมาเหมือนเดิมยากอยู่ถนนสวยก็จริงแต่ว่าแบบไอ้โรคอันเนี้ยมันร้ายแรงกว่าทุกโรคที่ว่าเคยมีมานะโรคซาร์โรคอะไรต่ออะไรมันไม่ร้ายแรงเท่าไอ้เนี่ยร้ายแรงมาก
But the tourism authorities believe the beautiful scenery in Thailand will bring visitors flocking back.
ประเทศชั้นนำในโลกที่มีการสาธารณสุขที่ดีที่สุดนะครับการดูแลสุขภาพที่ดีที่สุดแล้วก็รอยยิ้มของคนไทยแหล่งท่องเที่ยวต่างๆในประเทศไทยยังพร้อม
Aisha Nadira for ASEAN Today.
We like hearing from you throughout the ASEAN region and the world. Wahyu posted this on our Instagram page. A good recap of ASEAN makes me feel proud as a fellow citizen. Thank you, Wahyu. There are a lot of good stories to tell in this region. All of our episodes are posted on YouTube, so check us out there if you can't find us on your local TV channel. Then let us know what you're thinking about or what you want to see on the program. Email us at ASEANTodayTV@gmail.com, post something on our Facebook page, or tweet us at ASEANTodayTV. When everything opens again, Singapore's the place to enjoy a cocktail according to the latest rankings. Jigger and Pony claimed the top spot on Asia's 50 best bars list for the first time, climbing 8 spots and beating previous number 1, The Old Man in Hong Kong. The pioneering bar maintains its dedication to classic cocktails with innovative Asian twists. 3 other Singapore bars placed in the top 10 on the list, compiled by a media company in the United Kingdom. Bangkok's Bamboo Bar in the Mandarin Oriental took the 7th spot. And that's ASEAN Today for this week. I'm Raissa Chentami of the Indonesia channel in Jakarta. Terima kasih. Please join us again next time.